Great morning, great morning, great morning. I am Nicole D. Jones, and I am just happy and grateful for another day. I'm happy and grateful for life. I'm happy and grateful for the long weekend. I'm happy and grateful that it's Manifest Monday. I'm happy and grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I always say, I truly appreciate your willingness to be accountability for me. I know that today is a holiday for some people, but thank you for still showing up and just being willing to connect and be accountable to one another. So I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly. I'm happy and grateful that we are healthy, that we are wealthy, that we are prosperous, and everything that our hands go to touch, it must, it shall, and it will manifest, prosper, and grow. Whatever it touches. I'm happy and grateful for that today. And I'm happy and grateful that even if you're not in a place where maybe you believe it in the fullness, keep speaking it. I guarantee you, your perspective, your mindset, everything will shift and it'll change. I don't know when I said it, maybe last week, I can't remember. But it is Manifest Monday. And I told you guys I was reading John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Think. Okay. And it took me back to thinking about when we talked about in Proverbs, I believe it's Proverbs 23. As a man thinketh, so is he. Okay. So, of course, we're going to continue to build off of that. We're going to continue. I told you everything goes back to Jehovah God. Everything goes back to the word of God. And Proverbs is the book of wisdom. But we're going to stick with that in the sense of as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay. So John C. Maxwell has a book, How Successful People Think. Change your thinking, you'll change your life. Okay. And I had mentioned, like I said, on another call, we got to get rid of the stinking thinking. All right. Stinking thinking will make you smell, right? That's not who we are. So we're going to get rid of the stinking thinking, okay? So the first thing that I want you to know is we're always looking for good thinkers. So what is a good thinker? Okay? Someone who knows how will always have a job, but someone who knows why will always be a boss. All right? So what does that mean? Good thinkers solve problems. They think the next thought. They can build organizations. They hope for a better future. They're rarely taken advantage of, and they are successful. All right. Why is that? Because you know how, like, you have some people, they know how to think. Okay. You know how to think. I mean, we think, we have thoughts. You know how to do it. But in order to know why you're thinking what you're thinking, y'all see that fly? Oh, that fly is, ooh. Listen, if it get close enough to me, I'm going to swat it, all right? But anyway, knowing why is taking your thoughts, your thinking process to the next level. And everyone doesn't do that. You know, I tell my kids all the time, think the next thought, because we understand for every action, there's a reaction, okay? So you got to learn how to think the next thought. That's what sets you apart and makes you a good thinker. When you think of good thinkers, they're ones who have had a thought, pondered it, and went past the thought, okay? So someone who knows how to think will always have a job. You'll always be able to maintain. You'll always be able to do. But for the one who knows why, you'll always be a boss. All right? You're that one that just mediocre is not enough. It's not good enough. All right? You can't stop your mind, but you put action. You put action to it. Okay? So if you change your thinking, you'll change your life. Like I said, it's that stinking thinking. Now you have to understand that, because, you know, with the brain, we all gonna think. But have y'all ever been around someone Well, it just seemed like they thoughts never connect. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just trying to let you see the difference, okay? Now, it's sometimes, we'll say like they're airy or they just it's that person that you like. Why did you do that? See, now I'm the type of person, because I always think the next thought. I mean, I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So I ask you, like, tell me what you were thinking about right then when you did what you did. And sometimes people will look like, what? And I'm like, no, like real talk. What were you just thinking? Because I'm trying to understand your thought process. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be none of that. But because I always think the next thought, it baffles me. And I just want to know, like, what were you thinking? Okay. Good thinkers will do that. I'm not saying do it to put anyone down. None of that. There are people that I know that they just like you want to put that person next to that person, so the two thoughts will become one. But it is what it is. All right. Listen, because here's the plus. Did y'all see that? That fly. Anyway, the plus is you can be taught to become a good thinker. All right. So if I'm talking about someone who kind of like a little airy, and your thoughts don't connect all the time, it's all good, because I'm gonna get this fly. Oh my gosh. You can learn to be a good thinker. All right. You can learn to be a good thinker. But why should you change your thinking? Good thinking generates money. It solves problems. It creates opportunities. It takes you to a whole new level personally and professionally. Okay. So when you think of, a job, or you think of maybe a coworker, it's always that one that most people just feel like, they don't necessarily mesh with, or she's always trying to go above and beyond, or she always doing too much and this and that. But the reality is, it's a good character trait to have. Okay. It's to be a good thinker. Change your thinking, you change your life. And that person is usually prosperous. All right. That person usually grows. Their territory and their land usually expands. Okay. So you have to become a good thinker. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to know. Changed thinking isn't automatic. It's not automatic. It's something that you have to be intentional to want to do. Okay. Change thinking is difficult. And change thinking ultimately will be worth your investment. Okay. It'll be worth your investment. So I don't want to sit on here, and I want to encourage you and tell you that if you're not a good thinker, if you don't think the next thought, if you don't, automatically go into a problem solving, motion and mode, it can be learned. But you have to know, change thinking isn't automatic. It is difficult, but it is worth the investment to do. Okay. A lot of people I have people ask me, like, how do you keep your mind as the glass half full, never half empty? And I have to be honest and tell them, like, I had to change my stinking thinking, and it did not happen overnight. Okay. For most of y'all, some of y'all know, some of you don't. My kids are 20 years apart. I had one at 20, I had one at 40. The way I thought at 20 isn't the way I think at 40. Some things are the same, okay? The foundational things that I did with Khadijah, as far as training her up in the way that she should go, 40 years later, I do the same thing, okay? But my thinking process and having to think the next thought and other things is totally different with Jaden than it was with Khadijah, because there has been a process past the fact that I've gotten older, past the fact that I've matured. There has been a process of releasing my stinking thinking. Okay, there was an epiphany moment where I realized my thinking wasn't healthy or good for me or anyone else. So I began to start thinking the next thought. I didn't understand then what I was doing, but I had enough people around me where I realized, like, we all here doing the same thing, but they're prospering and growing. I started looking at that, and I started figuring out what was the difference of what they were doing versus what I was doing, okay? So it takes, the first thing, if you're taking notes, you should take notes, okay? Take notes, because we understand that changing our thinking isn't automatic. It is difficult, but it's worth the investment, right? So it takes an ongoing process to become a better thinker. So first, you want to expose yourself to good input. You got to remember, what goes in is what's going to come out. All right. If you are a believer, this stuff line up with the word. I told you, everything goes back to the book. Okay. So what goes in comes out. So you need to be reading books. Read books. Look, this book ain't even big. Okay. But it is so impactful. It has impacted my thinking process. It has enhanced and made me better in what I'm already doing. It has solidified some things for me, and it's encouraged me to continue to do more. It's not even a big book, okay? But you gotta want to read. You gotta want to feel yourself, okay? What comes in, or excuse me, what goes in comes out. So you got to read. If you're trading, you need to research. All right. You need to review trade magazines. You need to go online. You need to plug into the websites that are given to us to look into investments, to look into trading. You have to educate yourself. You got to feed it. All right. And you got to spend time with good thinkers. You have to spend time with people who are thinking. You have to spend time with people who challenge you and your thoughts. All right. Not your emotions. Listen, if something intrigues you, put it in front of you. All right. So we write goal cards, right? I hope you have goal cards, you have index cards in your house that have affirmations, that have goals. Well, you need to also have your ideas. You got to put them where you see them. Okay. Now, you come into my house, it's cute. I got a cute little house, y'all. Okay. It's cute. It has character. But when you go into my spaces, it has stickies. Okay. Why? Because I make sure I look at my goals. I make sure I affirm myself. I make sure thoughts that are coming to my mind and things that I believe are supposed to be manifesting are in my face. All right. So you got to do that. That's number one. Number two. So number one, expose yourself to good input. All right. Reading, putting it in, because it's going to come out. Your eyes. You know, this is all our five senses. All right. Because we're increasing our belief. We're increasing our desires. So number two, expose yourself to good thinkers. This goes back to who has access to you. All right. I talk to many people. I talk to a lot of people. All right. I am no better. I am no higher. Anyone who knows me knows I don't conduct or carry myself that way. But my circle, your circle, it has to be filled with those that challenge your thinking. All right. So the ones closest to me, we don't have fluff conversations. Okay. If you're one who talks to me regularly, I'm going to prick your mind. I'm going to get you to think, and you're going to prick mine. You got to be able to prick mine too. So I need to know that you are a good thinker, but I also need to see action. I need to see you doing what we talk about. Okay. So you have to expose yourself to good thinkers. All right. They should be constantly trying to grow and learn. You got to really think about the people closest to you. You got to think about the time that you spend and where you spend it. And you got to think about what y'all are doing in that time. All right. You have to, number 2, expose yourself to good thinkers. All right. You even think about it, because I said it goes back to the book. Iron sharpens iron. You can't have dull blades around you and expect to be sharp. It ain't gonna happen. All right. So your immediate circle, the ones closest to you, you have to make sure that they are on the path of good thinking too. You have to make sure that your conversation is of substance, that they are like scratching the surface. Okay. What are you doing? What you do today? What have you been able to accomplish to work on the goal that you set? And then you see them working on theirs. So when they start taking, and I'm not saying, I'm not really a competitive person, but I do keep people around me that are competitive because they're grinding, okay? And when I see them grinding, it motivates me to want to grind, all right? So remember that. Number 3, choose. You have to choose to think good thoughts, all right? It's a choice. It's a choice. I keep telling you guys, the battlefield is the mind. So you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional to think good thoughts, all right? So you got to choose it. Thinking is a discipline, all right? Regularly put yourself in the right place to think, shape, stretch, and land your thoughts, all right? You have to discipline yourself. So even in your routine, you have to make sure that that is a part of your routine. Well, Nicole, that's crazy. You have thoughts all day. You right about that. But if you're honest with yourself, are all your thoughts good thoughts? Because I guarantee you, for every good thought you have, there are 2 thoughts that try to stop you from doing it. Procrastination is one. All right? Procrastination, laziness, it will try to combat your good thoughts all the time. So you have to be intentional. You got to know that thinking is a discipline. So you got to put yourself in the right place. All right? You have to have a space where you think. You need a schedule. You need to schedule yourself. Anything that requires discipline requires a schedule. Now, when the founder of Chick-fil-A was alive, John C. Maxwell actually did an interview with him as he was preparing to write this book. And he told him that thinking time was a priority, and it was a priority to him, but not only was it a priority, it was a schedule. Okay, he had created a schedule. So for the founder of Chick-fil-A, he would make sure that every 2 weeks he would have half of a day where he just set the time aside for thinking. And then every month he would do it for 1 whole day. He would go off, set the whole day where he would just have no distractions and he would think. And then every year he would have 2 to 3 full days. So where we trying to take a staycation weekend, or we just want to sit in the house, watch TV and not do nothing, the founder of Chick-fil-A would take that staycation weekend and isolate himself from distractions merely to think. So you have to have a thinking place, okay? Because we understand that it is a discipline that we have to learn, you have to schedule time for thinking. And I know this may sound crazy, but if you think of Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A is the only fast food chain that is referenced, okay, for the way that they conduct business, for their structure, for how things go. And they are one of the busiest places you see. When you see a Chick-fil-A line, it could be going out into traffic, but they get you through the line like this. All right. The foundation of that was a good thinker that was intentional to discipline and schedule time for thinking. Catch that, okay? So number 4, act on good thoughts. Ideas have a short shelf life, all right? So you think about, like, when you are thinking about something, like you could be watching TV and all these thoughts pop in your head. And you're like, man, I need to do this, this, and this, right? I need you to understand that if you don't write that down, I guarantee you're going to forget. Because ideas have a short shelf life. They come and go, all right? Some of us think they're aha moments. I feel like that's when Holy Spirit is talking to me, when he drops something in my heart and in my spirit. This is why it's important for you to have that thinking space. So once you write it down, always keep pen and paper with you, okay? It's better to write it down. I know we rely on technology a lot, but it's something different unless you monitor technology and you got your little iPad with your pen. All right. If you want to go digital, make sure it's something, even with your phone, get a stylus, write it out. When these ideas come, because you got to remember, when you write it out versus typing it out, you're stimulating more of your 5 senses. Okay. So you want to do that. You want to act on those good thoughts when they come. You want to write them down. Okay. Man, it's 10:23. So make sure that you do that. You act on them quickly. So you got, like I said, always be ready to write them down and think things through. Then follow through. Okay. So you have this idea. You write it down. You take the time in your scheduled time to think it through. And then you put action to it. Okay. Number 5. And this is, let me see. Okay, it's 6. So number 5, allow your emotions to create another good thought. So you allow your emotions to create another good thought, all right? You cannot rely on your feelings. This is a quote. I want you to hear this. You can act your way into feeling long before you can feel your way into action. Let me say it again. You can act your way into feeling long before you can feel your way into action. What does this mean? If you wait until you feel like doing something, you will likely never accomplish it. All right? This is why number 5 is allow your emotions to create another good thought. All right? So you got to do the discipline part of the thought that you get. When you receive a thought, you're writing it down, you're thinking about it, and then you allow your emotions to create another thought. But we can't rely on emotions first, okay? Feelings get us nowhere. You don't want to make emotional decisions, all right? Same is true to thinking. You cannot wait until you feel like thinking to do it. But once you engage in the process of good thinking, you can use your emotions to feed the process, create mental momentum, all right? So I want us to start doing that. I want you to try it. Try the discipline process first, where you can get some stuff going, all right? You can see yourself moving and getting and actually accomplishing some things. And then you allow the emotion to come in. That's what's going to take it to another level. That's what makes it, the next thought from your discipline process first. And then you repeat the process. All right. What do I mean by repeating the process? What I got out of the book. We hear one-hit wonders. They had like one good thought, and that was it. We got to repeat the process, okay? One good thought does not make a good life. All right. So you got to repeat it. So when you start getting these thoughts, you got to do the same process. All right. So success comes to those who repeat the process of good thinking. So I'm going to give you the 5 steps again. Please go back and listen. Go back, take notes, because you have to remember, in order to lose your stinking thinking, it is an ongoing process to be a good thinker. all right? And it is something that can be learned. So expose yourself to good input, read, do your research, educate yourself, spend time around people who are good thinkers. Expose yourself to good thinkers. Oh, that was 1 and 2, sorry. Make sure that your circle is filled with people who are not only thinking, have good thoughts, but you see them going after them, all right? A grinder, and someone who is going to also encourage and challenge you to think good and hold you accountable. Choose to think good thoughts. You have to be intentional. So when those bad thoughts come, when the thinking come, you got to be intentional to cut it off, all right? And schedule your time of thinking. Set aside time to think about the thoughts that you have, to think about the goals that you have, to where you're not distracted. You've got to be able to do that, all right? You got to act on your good thoughts, all right? When you're sitting and thoughts come, you got to act on it. You got to write it down. You got to go back. You got to take the time to think about it. You have to take the time to birth them. You cannot rely on your memory to just remember later. You're going to forget it, all right? Then you want to make sure discipline is before emotion. Don't allow your emotions to create your first thought, but let it be another thought after you do your good thoughts, okay? And then you want to repeat the process. Okay? So, like I said, and I feel like I'm rushing, what I'm going to do, and I believe Jacinta may have already put in a link. We, as the meal plan team, we have created a community, okay? So it's actually like a app that you can use. We've done research, and I'm building this community for the meal plan. It's a free community. Check it out. Go in there. Join the community if it's laid on your heart to do. I'm going to start posting things. So for the mindset calls, we have 30 minutes, but this is a lot. This is six steps to start the discipline of losing your stinking thinking. So what I'm going to begin to do in the community, that's going to be the place where I can put more information. We can go more in depth. It'll be a place where I can actually see what you're saying, and we can chat back with one another with the things that we're going to be talking about in the mindset calls, okay? Because again, I want us to get to a place where we're holding one another accountable, where we are walking in our health, our wealth, and our prosperity, okay? So it is 10:29. I never want to belabor the time on your Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Remember to stay positive. Remember to stay humble. Remember to stay focused. And we are going to really focus on, if you haven't gotten this book and you want it for yourself, get John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Think. We're going to go through it. Of course, he's focusing on the business part, but we're going to go through it where we're understanding how we can grow personally and financially in our business realm too, okay? So again, I am Nicole D. Jones. Continue to have a fantabulous day. Smooches.